Before we get started, it's something very important. My favorite season is Time Force. Now we can get started with the video. Power Rangers Battle for the Grid originally came out in 2019 and was developed and published by nWay. nWay having also published Power Rangers Legacy Wars, so it wasn't the first time they've done something with the Power Rangers IP, but this one caught people's attention just because of the actual mechanics of it, because when this game first got shown and everything, it didn't look that amazing and lacked many things that nowadays it has through many updates, a lot of which were requested by the fans. Stuff this game originally didn't even have, including stuff like the hit sparks when a ranger gets hit, which was added in because fans wanted it, because for a fighting game, the hit sparks look nice, but also it's Power Rangers. Whenever they take a big blow, there are sparks that come out of the suit, and stuff like that was added in. They also genuinely try to get the original actors to reprise their role if they can. So there's also that one entire detail that was very good, and also when it came to DLC characters, people were hoping, anticipating if the character would have the original actor. And speaking of the DLC, a lot of which were chosen by the fans. I remember one in particular that people were very excited about was Shiba, who got done dirty in the actual Power Rangers Samurai show, but managed to shine in this game, and the rendition of Go-Go Power Rangers she got in this game with a composer, I believe, named Tony Porter, is freaking amazing. So just a lot of ways they do stuff that listens to the fans and asks stuff. They kept telling fans, please stop requesting a Kamen Rider, we can't do that. So of course we kept requesting a Kamen Rider. The story mode was an update. This game originally released with just a versus mode and online mode. It also originally came out on Nintendo Switch and Xbox, and then the other platforms like PlayStation and PC, also Google Stadia as well, came out later. But this game also freaking having crossplay between all those platforms as well, which I think is the only fighting game of its kind to do that. So again, you can see how amazing nWay was when it comes to trying to make this game the best it could possibly be from its more humble beginnings. The premise of the story mode is that in alternate future, Tommy Oliver betrayed and killed the Rangers, and then betrayed Rita Repulsa herself, instead of wanting all the power for himself and assuming the mantle of Lord Drakkon. He now goes to alternate worlds, including the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers world that we know of, where he immediately eliminates Tommy Oliver and is trying to steal Morphers from the Rangers, not to depower them, but use them for his Grand Master plan. With the danger now set, the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers must now work with various Rangers from throughout the world, including stuff like Jen Scott from Time Force, Shiba from Samurai, Gia from Megaforce, etc., Donkey Kruger from SPD. Although, despite the vast amount of Rangers being shown, there are many Rangers that aren't playable because they were paid DLC. For example, Shiba and Donkey Kruger were paid DLC, so although they will appear in the cutscenes in the story mode, they aren't actually playable in the story mode. You will also see other Rangers who don't have speaking lines or anything in the story mode, were never made into DLC, which hurts me because one of them being shown was the Blue Ranger from Dino Thunder, which there's no Dino Thunder rep in this game, sadly, so that one stung me. While the story isn't anything too amazing, it was written by Kyle Higgins from the Boom Studios Power Rangers comic book series, and I do believe that Jason David Frank did also want to play Lord Drakkon at some point, but studios didn't want to greenlight a live-action series where, you know, a fully evil Green Ranger. So I hope he was happy getting to play Lord Drakkon within the context of Battle for the Grid. Now for the gameplay, with the idea of trying to make things simple to play, where each character generally has 3 special moves, which is just pressing one button in a different direction or pushing the button in no direction, so they're simple to execute when it comes to actually playing as them. The only exception to this are the crossover characters from Street Fighter, who will play more so as their Street Fighter counterparts, or more so their renditions in the Marvel vs. Capcom series specifically, so they will play differently from everyone else because of that. But the idea is to make things simple to play, And there are many cases, a lot of cases actually, where characters will have infinite combos that just touch of death, with, I believe that points developers saying that if someone can actually pull off that combo, they deserve that touch of death combo. This is also a 3 vs 3 tag fighter, and interesting aspect is that when it comes to the story mode, because there are many moments where you won't have 3 people on a team, they will give the character extra life bars to compensate for that fact. So the story mode didn't think about that, where a character may be by themselves fighting multiple people, or you can have multiple people fighting one person, everything. Although when it comes to the story mode, the downside comes later in the story mode where it becomes very repetitive, where you're constantly fighting the same opponents because, like I said, they couldn't use the paid DLC characters, so when they used the base roster characters and the ones who were given out as a free update. And let's just say, playing the story mode, despite it not being long, maybe like an hour and a half total, you will probably be sick of fighting Goldar because I've fought him multiple times and he keeps having 3 health bars. And it's like, could you just tone down his health bars later on? Like, come on, please, I'm tired of seeing this man. You also have your option of Megazords or Goldar, which each have their own unique ability, but you can only really use them once a meter is full. At first, you can use the meter just to get a counter, but then you can summon the Megazord, depending on whether it's 2 bars or 3 bars, it'll be out for longer, and depends on whatever attacks you throw out, the Megazord will do an attack in response. So it can be helpful to continue combos, but in my experience, it generally feels too random to be all that helpful. So with the SPD one, it doesn't have a chance to just file healing the player, but when it comes to trying to use it for combo extensions, it's kind of a complete crapshoot. And also the enemy starts comboing you once you bring it out, it might as well have done nothing because it won't come out to help you because you're not putting any attack inputs out. So there is that, and also the way it works, which again was an update to where it worked very differently before, I believe. But they added the meter system and the freaking counter breaker and everything, so added more to it. Like I said, this game got a lot more polish over time compared to when it first released. There were also alternate skins that some characters would get when it comes to the whole entire DLC line, so because sometimes you get bonuses of, it kind of gets a special skin, with the most effort being when it comes to Tommy Oliver's Green Ranger skin and his White Ranger skin that you got for DLC, where they did have to make a slightly different animation for his super to compensate for the fact that he no longer uses a Dragon Zord or the Dragon Flute, so there is that nice touch for the White Ranger skin in order to change animation to fit.
Dragon Sword! Zero in on my coordinates.
Although when it comes to that, it also highlights how, when it comes to the visual of this game, you can tell it's just, hey, if it works, because there are some things that don't look quite right, especially when it comes to Tommy Oliver's special, the Dragon Sword, because it's just a close-up shot of Dragon Zord's hand shooting missiles. Depending on the level, it could just be clipping through fallen geometry or just look incredibly awkward, but hey, if it works, it works. This is probably only an issue with the Switch version, which is the version you're watching for this video, but also the fact of this game has hiccups, especially when it comes to loading, where it will feel like it's just on the verge of crashing when it loads. And no, that's just the game running normally for some reason, that just looks like that.
My training continues.
I believe also there's other effects that also aren't being used, like, I believe Adam, was a DLC fighter, is supposed to have this big after effect when he uses super, but it's just not here whatsoever in this version. I'm not sure if it's a version thing, or something they just got rid of entirely when it was outside the trailer. You also have certain stages in the Switch version that can put more of a strain on the game because of all the background details going on as well. There's also the arcade mode, which at first when it comes to the base roster, is just an arcade mode of this character as protagonist going out to try to fight Lord Drakkon. With my favorite of the writing for this kind of arcade mode is the one for the Black Mastodon Sentry, and just the fact of they're not even confident they can win against Lord Drakkon, but they're trying. I just really like that. But later on for DLC characters, they do start continuing an entire narrative when it comes to it, which can feel kind of underwhelming gameplay-wise, since it means that you want to go to arcade mode with the chosen fighter and your team. Well, you may not even get the access to your team until later in that person's story mode, or if ever, it may just give you a specific team for that person's arcade mode because you're trying to build up to a new narrative, with the final DLC character basically really hinting that there is more going on, or at least was planned to go on. I'll explain that one later. So like I was said in this video, in this game's heyday, there's a lot of community feedback, a lot of interaction between developers and the fans, choices for DLC characters, who will be the next up, so on and so forth. And I said the arcade mode was building up to something bigger, a potential sequel. But, as we're now in 2025, that sequel has not come. The social media accounts are still active, still talking about maintenances, still gives out the wallpapers, and also still does stuff for tournaments in order to endorse tournaments to have Battle for the Grid to this day, which is really nice. But when it came to the follow-up on the story build-up for the arcade modes for DLC fighters, there's nothing at payout, there's nothing to go with it. Now, I don't know if this is true, but it's just a popular rumor. Rumor has it is that because nWay wanted to shift more to making NFT stuff during the big NFT crap craze, and that is true, you can find nWay's name associated with several NFT projects, rumor has it that the developer team essentially did not want to be part of this and left. They all just up and left, and so there was no one left to develop any more content or a sequel for Battle for the Grid. I don't know if this is true, I know that the NFT thing is true, and we have no follow-up to Battle for the Grid, and also Legacy Wars, while published by nWay, was not developed by them, so I wouldn't be hindered if the main developers for Battle for the Grid up and left. Like I said, I don't know if that's true, that's just a rumor of what happened and why there was no more content, no sequel or anything when it comes to Battle for the Grid. Now, being the fact that the story mode revolves more so around Mighty Morphin, of course the Mighty Morphin Rangers will take a lot of the game's at least base roster, but I do like certain choices they made, such as the fact of Cat from SPD being a base roster, which honestly, that's something I never expected to put in, but also the fact of including stuff such as for the free update, specifically Dragon Armor Trainee from the comics, which was a cool addition. Also the fact they included in the Cenozoic Blue Ranger from the 2017 film, who I believe wasn't actually an on-screen character in that film, so this is basically their own rendition of the character, which is freaking cool to include. Me being a Time Force fan, of course I was super happy when Jen and Eric were added into the game. Like I said, not every season of Power Rangers is represented, which makes sense considering the scale of the game, so you generally only have characters from the seasons Mighty Morphin, Zeo, Lost Galaxy, Time Force, SPD, Mystic Force, Jungle Fury, Samurai, Megaforce, Dino Charge 2017 film, Shattered Grid from the comic book series, and Street Fighter characters when it comes to game characters in the roster, and specifically the full roster of the game on the DLC. Otherwise, you only have the base 12 roster, and I do find it interesting how one of the base roster was Cat from SPD, which is a pick that I wouldn't even think to be put in, but that's freaking cool to put in. Overall, I thought this game was cool years ago, and it's still cool now. While the story mode isn't anything that great, just playing the game is so much fun. Although, you go to play the game, you'll find out just how much of the game can be taken advantage of and just made some crazy combos. And the developer said, you must figure that out and pull it off. You freaking deserve the ability to do that kind of thing. It's like, hey, you can do it, you can do it. With them even showing like crazy combos within the trailers. And speaking of trailers, you do want to watch some of the trailers because even if the character's already out, there are dialogue bits they put in the trailer that aren't in the game, such as Eric's introduction to the trailer, having one specifically say, Foolishness Lord Zed, which, yes, is this actor, Daniel Southworth, basically putting on an aura of Virgil from Devil May Cry series. That's one of the notable characters he plays, but I can't discount that Eric wouldn't say it. Also, kind of want to mention the Devil May Cry thing. The fact that they also have RJ as a fighter here, although I don't think he's played by his actor, but RJ in Jungle Fury is played by the actor who plays Virgil in the Devil May Cry reboot. So you got both Virgils in this game, which is freaking cool to include. Another more funny thing is the fact of, because they're getting different voice actors from the characters, Mega Defender, Ryu, and Doggy Kruger are all voiced by Kyle Hebert. You can make a full team of just Kyle Hebert kind of thing. So there's just fun stuff you can do in this game. Like I said, I just wish it continued onward. The fact that it released on so many systems and had crossplay for all of them is freaking cool and everything, and the fact that it started from just a small scale game and got bigger and bigger as a result is freaking cool. I remember even seeing people in Japan trying to play this game since Power Rangers is not released in Japan. They didn't have the freaking rights to play it because region blocking. When it came to stuff at the Windows Store, which was like a region-free option, I saw Japanese Twitter accounts just mass buying it on the Windows Store so they can play the game. Hell, there were some people automatically thought that Street Fighter V was going to have a Power Rangers rep as a DLC. Y'all are crazy, because region locked the DLC outside Japan, but that's just freaking cool to even think about a possible thing. How much bigger this game could have been, much bigger a sequel could have been, but sadly, all we have is this, and I'm glad it exists and everything. What did I say about Battlefield Grid? Just a super cool fighting game that I don't know if the rumors are true. If it is, that's just a disappointing wait for it to go. But, like I said, the Twitter account, social media, is still trying to fund tournaments, get things done, get the name out there, have people have fun and enjoy the game. So, whoever runs a social media account, you're cool. That's all I gotta say about Battlefield Grid. Alrighty then, good day.